Welcome to Unfold Data Science. My name is Aman and I am a data scientist. In this video, we are going to continue our LLM for Generative AI Application Development playlist, and we are going to understand about two of the very important concepts in the world of LLM fine tuning. One is known as QLoRa, which is an extension of LoRa, and another one is known as prompt fine tuning. We are going to build an end-to-end Python application to understand how we can integrate QLoRa with prompt fine tuning and see how these work. Let's start without any delay. Let's try to understand first of all what is LoRa. So QLoRa is derived from LoRa. So we will understand what is LoRa. Then we will understand why QLoRa has come into picture after LoRa. I will tell you what is quantization, the most important concept related to QLoRa and what makes it special. We will see prompt fine tuning concepts, how it works and what it is. And then we are going to combine QLoRa and prompt fine tuning both. And we are going to build an fine tune an LLM. I'm going to show you how you can combine both these things and gain the very nice result. So basically you want to take advantage of both these concepts together. So how you can do that, I'll tell you in Python. So that's what end-to-end Python demo. Please give a thumbs up guys if you are liking the content at Unfold Data Science. That keeps me motivated. So with that guys, let me try to tell you what is the challenge with LLM fine tuning first. So if you have been watching my playlist on this topic, right? I'm covering many concepts on LLM fine tuning, and I have been telling you that whenever you are talking of LLM, then you are talking of huge models or big models, huge models. And I like to ask this in interview, but I will just ask you again. When I say LLM huge models, so what is huge in LLM? So there are multiple things which are huge in LLM. One is data on which models are trained. Another is parameters of the model, which is huge in number. These things make the LLMs huge or large, right? What are these parameters? So suppose if I train a basic neural network, right? I will have my weights, biases, right? These will be my parameters that will get trained. Similarly, for my LLMs or for transformer based models, right? I will have multiple attention layers, multiple nodes, different encoders, decoders, etc. So what happens is the size of my parameter is huge in millions basically. Now imagine if you want to retrain your model. So suppose you take a model, base model. For example, you take a base llama model and you want to retrain this model. So there are, let's say, 1 million parameter that is there in the model. If you want to do the retraining, you will have to retrain or rederive all these 1 million plus parameters. And this process is called full fine tuning. Full fine tuning. So what you do in full fine tuning, you redefine all the parameters of the model. So basically you can think of you are doing in one way or other, you are doing training from scratch. This is not recommended. The reason is, first of all, the base llama is trained to do multiple things and your data might be little biased. So what will happen is you may lose some capabilities of base llama by doing a full fine tuning. The second reason is of course resources. So you don't have a lot of resources. So it is going to be expensive and time consuming for you. That is another reason. Full fine tuning normally, if you are not Google, Microsoft, Facebook, right? You don't do normally full fine tuning. So what are the options? If you remember in LLM fine tuning video, right? If you go to Unfold Data Science and if you go to LLM fine tuning methods, right? I was telling you there are two ways in which you fine tune your LLM. One is objective based and another is technique based. So objective based means for what purpose I am fine tuning my LLM, which we have covered as part of multiple videos here. You can see fine tuning RLHF for multitask, fine tuning BERT or fine tuning data. So all these will give you an idea of when you train LLM for different objectives than what you do. In today's video, we are focusing on technique based fine tuning. So in technique based fine tuning, full fine tuning is not a favorable option. Why? Because of two reasons that I told you. So what are the other options? So imagine there is a huge model in front of you and you want to train that model for your own job. So what are the options? What people told is, let's say there are 1 million parameters in the model. 1 million parameters in the model. Is it possible that we train only a small number of parameters? So let's say X parameters only we will train. We will not train all 1 million parameters. Only X parameters we will train. And this X will be, let's say, less than 5% of 1 million. Less than 5% of 1 million. So what researchers have told us is there are ways through which I can still do the fine tuning, but the number of parameters which I will train will be less than 5% of total number of model parameters. How they are going to do that? I will just give you 4 high level steps. The first thing you can think of is freeze original weights. So the original 1 million weights or original 1 million uh, parameters, right? Freeze original weights or params, whatever you call it. Then inject a small metric in the model. Inject a small matrix in the model. So I will not go into much detail because I'll tell you where to read it. I have created a video on this only. And then train weight of small matrix. So what you have done, you have frozen the original weights. You have injected 2 small matrix here to be precise. And then you are training weight of above created small matrix. Okay, that you have done. And once you are trained this small matrix, right, then what you do, you update the model and you call that as a fine-tuned model. So I know you might not be digesting what I'm telling you now, but imagine there is a small matrix here which is having just 5% of the parameters of original model, and what we are training is this small matrix only. And finally, we are updating the model with the help of this small matrix. This process that I explained you now is known as LORA, standing for low rank adaptation in model fine tuning, also known as LORA. What is LORA? LORA is basically training very limited number of parameters in the model, not touching the original parameters, not touching the original weights, but we are training some new weights. And what we will do, we will update the model with these new weights. This process is LoRa, and this will help you do the fine tuning in efficient way. Now you might be thinking, I want to know more details of LoRa. So I'm going to tell you one video you must watch. Go to Unfold Data Science videos. Just scroll down a little bit. You will find a video called How to Fine Tune LLM. See this video here, I'm hovering my mouse. How to fine tune LLM. 6 months ago, I created this video. How to fine tune LLM, how to fine tune ChatGPT. People have given lovely comments on this video. Go and watch this video. I have explained you everything about LoRa here. Okay. What is LoRa, how it works, how it is different from full fine tuning, how it helps you to do the partial fine tuning, right? So that is your LoRa. Now from LoRa, what LoRa gives you is LoRa gives you a way to train model efficiently, basically, right? And the topic of today's video, what is there is LoRa with a Q. LoRa with a Q. Important thing to understand here is what is Q. So Q stands for quantization. Now, please pay attention here, guys. People may give you a tough time on this topic in interview. Okay. If I'm interviewing you, I'll give you a tough time on this. So Q LoRa is quantized LoRa or quantization. First of all, let's try to understand what is quantization. So let's imagine there are 2 ways to write a number. For example, let's say there is a number 18. This number 18, I can represent in FP32, FP32, or I can represent this number 18 in INT8. So there are 2 different ways I can write the same number 18. When I'm writing the number in FP32, right, I will represent this number with 32 bits. The meaning of that is, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many is there? 8. Similarly, don't worry about 1 and 0. It may not be exactly 18, but I'm just telling you how you can represent this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is one way in which you can represent number 18. The other way in which you can represent number 18 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 plus 4, 8. So if you can see the difference here, right? Here, how many bits I'm utilizing here? 32. So that's why I call it FP32. Here, how many I'm utilizing here? 8. That's why we call it INT8. Now you will ask, what is the reason of getting into all this? The reason is we want to represent numbers internally in one of these ways for systems to understand, and there are pros and cons with both these approaches. So it will be very clear to you that if you represent your numbers by FP32, right, it is going to take more memory, right? There is no rocket science here. If you are representing numbers like this, then it is going to take more memory. And if you are going to represent your numbers like INT8, it is going to take less memory. Correct. Another thing is you should know you can represent a higher range number using FP32 and a lower range number using INT8. Also, in terms of accuracy, you can have a very high accuracy of your decimal numbers, etc. in this FP32, and in INT8 you will not have that level. So basically, it's a trade-off. INT8 saves your space, but the accuracy might get little bit compromised. On the other hand, FP32 will take more space, but accuracy will not get compromised. Now we are talking about large language models. As I told you here, in large language models, you have a lot of parameters, lot of values, and all these values are mostly big numbers, right? So imagine here we are talking about one number 18. Imagine you have 1 million parameters. Everything has a number, right? What happens if you bring down the size of all 1 million parameters by 1/4? So here we are trying to bring the size down, right? What happens if you bring the size of all 1 million parameter by 1/4? That is a huge saving in terms of space, and your processing will increase. Your processing speed will increase basically. So you are giving less load on the system. So your processing power will increase, right? So this concept here, what I explained you, is now quantization. So what is that you are using? Are you using FP32? Are you using INT8 or any other thing? What is the advantage of using a INT8 kind of thing in place of FP32? Advantage is the size of your model will reduce by almost 1/4. And once your size of the model is reduced, right, you will need less resources to fine tune the model. Hence, what people have told is do whatever you are doing in LoRa, but do it with the quantized model. Fine. Do whatever you are doing in LoRa, but do with the quantized model. Now, I will show you in Python how it looks like when you quantize a model. Okay. So let me go to Python here. I have installed some packages here. Transformers, dataset, PEF, TextRedit, and bits and bytes is the one through which you tell that I need quantized model. Okay, so you need to tell to system that I need quantized model. So through this package, bits and bytes, you tell to the system. And then what I will do, I will load the same model once in FP32 and once in INT8, and I will show you the difference. So let this code run. If you see here, import troch from transformer imports auto model, auto tokenizer, and bits and byte config, import garbage collector. So I need the memory usage. So I'm taking this. So this will simply give you what is the memory allocated in MB for that. Okay. Model I'm loading GPT-2. I'm here loading the model basically. Here I'm loading the full precision model. If you see, okay. So auto model causal from pre-trained model name CUDA. Model used full precision in MB. So it will give me what is the model size in MB when I'm using the full precision model, correct? And then basically data type to show you that what is the data type of the parameters there. Then I'm deleting model. I'm doing garbage collector again. And if you see here bits and bytes I'm taking, I'm saying load in 4-bit. So now I want to load in 4-bit only. I can go to 8-bit as well, but now let's say load in 4-bit. 4-bit config I'm giving, double quant I'm giving. These are some of the recommended parameters you can give, but main thing is this: load in 4-bit is true. And then quant model is equal to this new model, BNB config with which you are loading. BNB config is bits and byte config. And then I'm saying show me the memory size of this as well. Now see here the magic. Memory used full precision, 763.86 MB. Okay. Full precision type is float 32. If you load in float 32, your model size is 763. If you load in INT 8, right, your model size is 320. So almost less than half. So if you take a quantized model, the size is less than half. And as I was telling you, if your size is less than half, lot of benefits to you. That is quantization. So now you have understood what is LoRa, what is quantization. One question that might be coming to your mind is how quantization is done. So let me try to give you a simple example. Suppose there is a number 3.08 and this number is 32-bit float. Suppose I want to convert this number to INT8. How I will do that? For doing that, what I need to do is, first of all, I need to determine my maximum absolute value. So determine what could be the max absolute value. So I need to take a maximum value here. For example, let's say in this scenario that is called M, I take M is equal to 10. So 10 could be my maximum absolute value, for example. So this 3.8 could go up to 10. The second is I will calculate scaling factor. Calculate scaling factor. Okay. And the definition of this scaling factor is you will take a range. For example, in this case, my scaling factor range is minus 127 to 127. This is my range of scaling factor. You can take one range of scaling factor. And what you're going to do now is, for calculating scaling factor, you will simply divide that 127 highest number by this 10. So your scaling factor becomes 12.7. So this range you have to take. All these things will happen internally in the system. I'm just trying to tell you how it will work internally. So system will take a maximum absolute value, system will take a range, and system will compute a scaling factor. Once you have that 12.7, right, then quantized value will be round of 12.7 into your original number 3.08. And if you compute this, it will be roughly 39. So you started from 3.08, which was a FP32, and in INT8 you have 39 is your number, right? And if you do other way around, you can convert 39 back to 3.08. As I told you, since you are coming down in terms of bits, so what will happen is your accuracy will get little bit compromised. So it is quite possible that when you convert 39 to, you want to convert it back to 3.08, you might see 3.079. That's quite possible. Okay. But the high level steps is same. You need a scaling factor that comes from a range and a maximum absolute value, and then you round it. This was just to give you an idea of how scaling happens. I loaded the model and showed you how quantization helps. Two things done. LoRa, I told you how it is done, and details of LoRa, I showed you video as well. Don't miss that video, okay? Very informative video, how to fine tune LoRa LLM. Now, one more topic for today's video is prompt fine tuning, right? What is prompt fine tuning basically? To understand prompt fine tuning, let me write here few things. Okay, so I will say here movie was good. This is the input and the output is positive. So imagine this is a sentiment classification problem, and let's say had a had a bad experience. So this is a negative sentiment. What I want to do is I want to fine tune my model on this data, and I want to tune for a sentiment classification task, right? So one option is I take this data. You have seen that in my previous videos, right? I take this data and run the fine tuning. That will work fine, no problem with that. But what researchers have told is if you want to do a training for some specific task, try something known as prompt fine tuning. What is prompt fine tuning? So imagine I add few lines here, okay? Not lines, words. And here I say classify the sentence, okay? And here I say classify the sentence. So whatever you see in blue color here, this is called prompt fine tuning, right? And what you are going to do here, you are going to supply something in the beginning. How it is different from normal fine tuning? When you are tuning these kind of, when you are tuning your model on these kind of data, right? So imagine my prompt is having some vector, right? So it will be embeddings will go into that. Embeddings is nothing but vector. In the process of fine tuning, right? My embedding vectors of these alone will get fine tuned. I will repeat it again. This is your original, just a moment. This is your original fine tuning data. Okay. What you are doing, you are adding something in the beginning here. Let's say whatever you are adding in the beginning is V1, V2, V3 in terms of tokens. When you are fine tuning your models, your V1, V2, V3 embeddings will get enriched, and that is your tuning. Now you will say how it is helpful. It is helpful because suppose there would have been a embedding of this which is incorrect, and right is nothing in the world of machine learning, which is less accurate or less right. Okay, so what will happen is that will get corrected here, and then model will understand, okay, I have to classify the sentence, and it will correctly understand the embeddings. From the embeddings it will understand, right? So from the embeddings it will know, okay, I have to classify the sentence. So what is going to happen here is these V1, V2, V3 is going to be updated with the model fine tuning. So what we are going to do now is we are going to combine QLoRa plus prompt fine tuning. Okay. And in this process, what will happen? Can you take a minute and think what are the advantages we are going to get here? So what advantages from quantized model we will get, and what advantages from prompt config or prompt tuning you will get? Can you just pause this video and comment? Okay, so if you have commented, then I will tell you what you are going to get from QLoRa. From QLoRa, you are going to get a fast and efficient fine tuning. Okay, fast and efficient fine tuning you are going to get. And from prompt fine tuning, you know what you are going to get? You are going to get something very specific to your task. So task specific, reliable fine tuning. When you combine both these things, right, you are going to consume less resources and you are going to get a model which is useful for your scenario. So let's try doing that now. Let's go to Python, and as usual, I'm going to take some code and explain you what is happening. So bits and bytes, you already know what is happening here. We are loading a quantized model. So I'm importing that as well. Another thing I'm importing here is called prompt tuning config. So here I will pass my prompt tuning parameters. PEFT you need for parameter efficient fine tuning. So this you can use in LoDA, QLoDA both, right? Here dataset is getting loaded. Model is getting loaded. BNB config, we know this already in the previous block we have done this. Model is auto model for causal LLM, right? Causal LLM we are training here. Okay, not masked LLM, causal LLM. That means GPT style model. So model also you see here GPT style model. This is prompt config, prompt tuning config, task type causal LLM. Okay, prompt tuning INIT is equal to prompt tuning test. Number of virtual tokens means how many tokens you want to add in the beginning. Model name, and then this is the init text. Okay, so prompt tuning init text, right? This is what the text is. Classify the sentiment. This is what it will put in front of every sentence in the training data. And in our training data, we have sentiment, we have positive, negative. So what we will do, we will take the sentiment and label and put it together. And then this is basically tokenized data set. So data preparation basically. This part is done. And when you give your both these things together, right? So what will happen? You need to give your both the config. So if you see here, right, training arguments, and here model is equal to model, and this model, let me run this, it will keep running in the background. This model will come from where? This model will come from here. Okay, auto model for causal LLM, BNB config, fine. Auto model for causal LLM, model name, we are loading the GPT style model. We are loading it in BNB config mode. We are giving it, and then quantization mode. This becomes our model. In the prompt config, if you go right, in the prompt config, we are giving model name, that is your this one, GPT-2. And what we are going to do, we are going to pass this prompt config here. This prompt config basically model, get PEFT model, prompting tuning layer to the original model we are adding here. Okay, so prompt tuning layer is the layer we are getting from prompt config. We are adding on top of original model. So original model is which one? Original model is this BNB thing that you have loaded. On this, you are adding your prompt config, means on this, you are adding your GPT with prompt config thing. So that becomes your final model. And then that model is passed here. Training arguments, tokenized sets, all these things you know already. So the model is getting trained now, and let it train for some time. Once it finishes, right, we can come back and check. So model tuning has completed, guys. Let's try to do some predictions now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the code where I'll have an input sentence, and I will try to do the prediction. So let's do that. So here I'm saying sentiment. I hate reading about history, basically tokenizing this and then generating the output. Let's see what happens. So I hate reading about the history. This is negative sentiment because I've said hate. And if I say love, I think it should convert to positive. Here also it is saying negative, but don't worry about it. This is just a sample data, sample epoch, sample everything, right? So basically you can take this file and use it. But one question I have for you guys, come to my note here and the example I gave you, right? Classify the sentence and this. I told you this is prompt fine tuning where it will take these inputs and it will try to, get a better embedding for V1, V2, V3. You have to tell me how it is different from something known as instruction fine tuning. If you remember, right, I showed you instruction fine tuning some time back. In instruction fine tuning also, we had a similar kind of data, similar kind of data, and we gave it and we tried to fine tune the model. You have to tell me in comment, how is prompt fine tuning this thing different from instruction fine tuning? Let me know in comments, guys. Let me know your likes and comments as well so that I stay motivated. See you all in the next video. Wherever you are, stay safe and take care.